Hey, how's it going? This is your man, Sir-Earl, coming at you again with another It's My World podcast. Today is Sunday, July 21st, and it has been hot in Chicago. Um, I want everyone to copy or at least remember or write down our platform for Facebook because we're going to be hosting a Facebook Live event where you can get the text in and ask questions and things like that. And we'll cover those questions on the podcast. And the questions that we decide to cover, we'll send out a special gift, some clothing, supplements, whatever it may be. So, you either need to go to Figure Prodigy, FIGUREPRODIGY. That's Figure Prodigy, Louis, TERUI, or Chie Wilson, WILSON. She may or may not accept you, or you can go to Earl Bell. The ideal one is to go to Ratio 1-to-1 Fitness. I'll accept the friend request on there, and then when we go live, which will either be next Sunday or the following Sunday, but we will keep you posted on Facebook. And I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. And like I said, we'll be taking questions from the audience, and it'll be a good time. So make sure you take down those Facebook platform addresses and chime in. And we look forward to hearing from you. We get a lot of emails, a lot of requests, whether it be for our Facebook platform, social media, whatever it may be. The podcast, we get a lot of requests, so we came up with an idea to do this Facebook Live and accept questions on the Facebook Live. So, anyway, like I said, we'll get on with the podcast. And today's podcast is one of the things I see a lot of in life is that in this day and age, there's a lot of excuses. Maybe it's because I changed my mindset and I choose to think a lot more positive about things. But I have noticed that there's a lot of negative mindsets. And I believe a lot of it begins with our past. And I heard a phrase and it changed my way of thinking. And, it may work for you and may not. And that is life happens for you, not to you. A lot of people look at things that happen in their life and they look at it with a negative reflection. I chose to take the things that I've been through that I looked at as a negative experience, not being raised around my father, coming up in a hostile environment, and things like that. And I chose to look at those things that they happened for me, not to me. And the reason that I say that is that now I look back on a lot of those experiences, and they help me so much with everyday life that I live now. And if not for those experiences, I would not be in the position that I am in today. And I notice in each one of those positions or experiences that happened to me, they shape my character to the individual that I am now. And it's somebody, I'm someone that I can look in the mirror and be proud of myself. I still have a long way to go. We're all a work in progress. But the experiences that shape me and gives me the ability to go out and pursue the things that I'm trying to pursue, which is to be the greatest at what I've ever done, what I've done in the fitness industry. And a lot of those experiences help me. I'll just give you a few examples. When I was 6 weeks old, I was diagnosed with pneumonia. The doctor gave me a small chance of living, and if so, I would be basically dwarfism. I would be a very small person, not dwarf, but I would never be able to be a big person. And I believe that up until the age of 26, I just kept, hey, well, I was born, my growth was stunted because I suffer from pneumonia. So I'm just going to be a small person. I started weightlifting when I was 26 years old. The average age that young men start weightlifting is 14. So I was 12 years left behind. I was 140 pounds when I started. And I've been high as 265. That's 125 pounds. that I've gained through lifting. So I looked at the experience as life happened for me. Without that diagnosis and without believing that for so long, I don't believe I would have the drive that have allowed me to become one of the top bodybuilders in Chicago at one point or another, or even to this day. Because I started late, I didn't look at that as a negative. I'm still making great progress at the age of 54 when a lot of people have, gotten fat and sitting by the TV. It came along, bodybuilding came along at a time and taught me lessons that I still use to this day. And by starting at 26, I wasn't burned out by 35 like a lot of people do when they start at 14, 15. They're burnt out and they just want to live a normal life. Whereas I feel like I'm just getting going at a much later age of 54. So I look at that diagnosis by someone who was supposed to be a professional on the situation to say, hey, look, this guy's never going to be big. And I look forward to proving that wrong, and which I did. Also, I look at my upbringing, being born and raised in Inglewood, and only having an 8th grade education, being a father at the age of 14. I mean, I had my daughter, I was 14 years old. I had my daughter at 14, not conceived, not impregnated, but actually I was a father at 14. I look at those experiences and, people were telling me, teachers, doctors, judges, lawyers, police, hey, you're not going to live to see 18. Here I am, 54, with my own business and my own home, living in Homewood, and I'm so far beyond 18 that I looked at that situation and that drive that the negative naysayer said, hey, look, living this life, you're not going to live to see 18. So I used that negativity as looking at life happened for me, not to me. You sometimes have people that have experiences, whether it be abuse, physical, sexual, whatever it may be. You could have two people that experience the same thing, and one goes on to become an advocate that changes the people around them, and the other becomes a drug addict and an alcoholic to try to drown the pain every opportunity that they get. I looked at not having a father in my life, and that situation could have turned into me being a horrible father, which, parenthood doesn't come with a blueprint. We all, do the best that we can do. Sometimes we do great. Sometimes our kids think we do horrible. But I looked at that situation and I said, that happened for me. It didn't happen to me. So I looked at that situation and it made me a better parent to my son because I know the pain of being on the other side. So instead of repeating those mistakes and saying, well, I didn't know any better, I didn't have a father, which like a lot of people do, I said I never wanted my son to feel the pain that I felt. Wanting a father just to come to your football game or take you out for a Coke or, ice cream cone or, just to teach you how to walk a path through life from a man's standpoint. I didn't have that. So I knew the pain behind it. So I said that my child is not going to experience that if I can help it. And, I just went about it doing the best that I could. And so far, so good. He's 24. Would love him to come back home. He lives down by the St. Louis area, but, he's happy being on his own. He's matured a lot. I'm very proud of him. And I'm very proud of the job that I did with him because he lived with me most of his life. So once again, negative things happen. It just depends on the perspective that we place on those things. And if we learn to look at life as something that happened for you, not to you, you look at the positive side of those experiences and you take those and you put them in your repertoire of mental capacity or whatever you want to call it. and you go about your life and you utilize those things. Coming up the way that I did, in the neighborhood that I did, you learn to be tough. You learn to fend for yourself. You learn, me personally, I learned to read people very, very well, because reading someone wrong could cost you your life. I mean, I've had times where there was a gun pointed at my head, and you had to quickly analyze and look at that person. Me personally, I look at that person's eyes, and you will see if they are capable of pulling the trigger or if they are not. And like I said, it's when you face situations like that, to have a village threatening to not give you a license, it pales in comparison. So those things that I looked at, like, wow, why did that have to happen to me? Now I walk through life, and I'm just not afraid of a lot of things. When you're young, the two things that people used to scare you, they used the idea of penitentiary, which I've been through, which, it is what it is, or you look at death, which I've come close to so many times. Not to say that I don't fear death. I don't want to die. I have a lot of work to do on this earth, but I don't fear it like other people fear it, because some people have never faced it. They're faced with the idea of it, and that idea is what scares them. The actuality that you've already accepted, that you may not live through this situation, is different than thinking, well, maybe. So I've learned to take that approach, and take those experiences and things that happen to me, and I try to take them in a positive way. And I'm recommending to people that if you look at situations that have happened, I mean, there's nothing we can do about the past. The past has happened and it's gone. And yes, it's a reality that we've dealt with a lot of, some people have had a lot of negative bullshit happen to them. And I'm saying that you can take that situation, and instead of being a victim, you can be a victor. And it's just all in how you look at it. We can't control what happened to us, but we can control how we view that situation in a negative or positive sense. And I find that too many people, they utilize the excuses of things that have happened to them and why they think this way and why it'll never happen for them, and why they live like this or whatever. And that's just a bunch of bullshit. It's if you look at that, and you look that it happened for you, not to you, you can find those lessons that will teach you how to be a better person today. As I said before, we can't control things that have happened to us. We all have had it. So I don't look at myself in a unique situation and feel like I'm the only one that went through a bunch of bullshit. Everybody has. Everybody has had something that happened to them, usually in a negative way, and they don't. What I'm saying is, don't carry that your whole life. Look at it as working for you, and you will find lessons within those experiences that make you a much, much better person. And you can pass those things on, because once you view things from a different way, you will then run into people or see people or talk to people who who think like you used to think, and maybe your advice of changing the way that you look at it can help them. So it becomes more than just you getting yourself together. You can then help other people, and that's really truly what we're on this earth to do, is to pass on experiences that can help the world become a better place. We think it's one individual. We don't have a lot of power over the world, but if each one touch one, this world will be a much better place. So that's my podcast for today. I try to keep it short so you don't get bored and fall asleep driving. But let's start looking at things instead of from a negative light, especially past situations. Let's start looking at them from a positive light. Let's look at the lessons that we can gain from that, and that all starts with the mentality. If you believe that it's negative and life happened to you, that's what you're going to take from it. But if you believe that life is positive and happens for you, those lessons that you gain from that is what you will take from it, and you will then become a person that looks at the entire world, the entire events. They always say there's two type of people: those believe that there are no more miracles, and those that believe everything is a miracle. I believe that everything is a miracle. I believe that life happens for you, not to you. And I believe that there's so many hidden things within the life. They say in every seed in every acorn seed there's a tree. And I believe that within all of us, everything that we need to survive and become the greatest that we can be is already placed inside of us. We just have to look at it, look for it, and we have to look for it in a positive sense, not a negative sense, because there's a saying that says, he who believes he's right and he who believes he's wrong, both are usually right. So I believe that I am a positive individual, and I look at everything that happens as if there's some type of positivity in this situation. So once again, that's my podcast for today. It's life happens for you, not to you. And as I said before, let's get on the platforms and stay tuned for our Facebook Live, which will be taking questions from you guys. And until that time, I'll see you next week. Once again, this is Sir-Earl, and I'm out. Peace.